Hello, this is Angelo, and we are here with a rather unusual masterclass because today we will be talking about failure more than anything else. Because today I am going to share with you the 10 biggest mistakes that I have made in my 15 plus year career as a content and digital product creator. So brace yourself for impact. Make sure you do none of these mistakes. This is why I'm sharing them with you. For me, this is like the first time I am publicly sharing this information. So brace yourself, keep a lot of notes, and of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves. As always, I want to thank you for being here, and you want to say a big bravo for being here because you know how easily people get distracted these days. But you are here, you're focused on taking yourself and your business to the next level. Of course, it is a great idea to switch off your phone or at least all notifications and close all other tabs that you have open on your PC, laptop, or tablet that you're watching this webinar from. For the next 45 to 60 minutes, let's just say that in the world it is you and me. And of course, as always, you're more than welcome to keep notes, but you will be having the replay at your disposal. So if you want to focus entirely on what we will be discussing here, I think it is a good idea. Last but not least, I want to remind you that we have crossed the point of no return, meaning the only outcome that you allow in your consciousness is you landing happily and safely, as we like to say here, at your ideal destination. How do you feel? The question that I keep answering at the beginning of each and every webinar, the question you want to ask yourself many times during the day, simply because the better you feel, the better your present is, the better the quality of your life is right now. And at the same time, the more energy you have to get where you want to go. Of course, always remember that we do have our thermostat set to the happy and unstoppable level, meaning if I ask myself, how do I feel? And the answer is, like, wow, never felt worse. Like you do what? You do the exercises of perspective, forgiveness, love, gratitude, and happy landing to pull yourself back up to the happy and unstoppable state. That said, I want to point out that the game of success has changed. It has changed again. This is not the first time. It keeps changing. Okay, after the 2008 financial crisis, we had a setback, right? Most of us did. And it is because, again, the game has changed back then. There were new rules for success, new rules of engagement in the marketplace. And now, after COVID, with inflation pumping the cost of everything, with AI changing the way we do business, the way we live and breathe, basically, and this will be happening so fast that very few people will be able to grasp. So let me also point out that it has changed dramatically. We may not feel it yet, but you should be looking at the rules of the game, at what is going on at a core level, let's say. And this is why I want to point out that you don't want another business failure, another career failure to be the reason that you discovered that the game has changed. You want to be on top of the game. You want to be on top of any challenge that may come in your way towards where you want to go, towards the success that you desire. This is paramount. This is very important. Always remember that the game-changing attitude is the reason that you will be, like getting through all game changes that happen in the marketplace. So let's do this. 10 mistakes that I did that you definitely don't want to do. Number one, I didn't know I was one. I didn't know I was a creator back then. So, of course, I realized that I want to communicate my business, and I started, like doing some emails, and I started sending some emails. Of course, back then it was the very early stages of social media, so it wasn't much of importance. But I went early on Twitter, for example, and I started tweeting and doing things like that. And I had some followers, but I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have like an ID. I am a content creator, as you would say nowadays. Even if you're a business owner, many business owners identify themselves as content creators simply because now there is such identity. So the problem was I didn't know I was one. And the more you know where you are, the easier it is for you to get where you want to go, to chart a course. So when back then I had no idea that I was a content creator, I didn't know that this was something that I should actually improve. Number two, I was dabbling. I wasn't going all in. I was going all in terms of the content I was receiving as a student of personal development and internet marketing. But in terms of practicing, I was dabbling. And that said, great success requires great focus. Always remember what Steve Jobs used to say. In order for Apple to say yes to the iPad when iPad was launched, what they said was we had to say no to 9,999 other amazing ideas. So, number three, I had employee mindset. I was trained to be a great employee. I had my master's degree, my bachelor's degree as an engineer, and my master's degree in engineering business management. And I was set for a successful career, let's say. So when I decided to pivot and start my own business, I collapsed because the employee mindset that I had was nowhere near what it would take for a successful business to be launched. And to be like, to succeed is one thing, to keep succeeding is another level. So there is no right or wrong mindset. You can have any mindset you want. You can be a stay-at-home dad or mom. You can do anything you want, but there is a right mindset for each and every job, for each and every task, for each and every project. So you cannot do, like be doing bungee jumping if you are completely afraid of heights and so on, or if you have any kind of problem with adrenaline. So you have to make sure that your mindset is always fitting to what you want to achieve, or maybe being, let's say, as we say, overqualified in terms of your mindset. Number four, I didn't have a plan. I was just creating content when I felt like it, let's say. And that said, always remember that when you fail to plan, basically what you're doing is you plan to fail. And let's take for an example from real life. Okay, so you have a friend and you don't you don't call them or send a message for months. You cannot just appear one day and say, you know what, I have an amazing offer for you, or I have an amazing webinar planned, and so on. You want to keep up the relationship. And in the same manner, what changed for me back in January 1st, 2015, was that I started creating my daily source of inspiration, the one that most of you receive every single day and start your days with now. And the game changer was that I started having a plan. I started having a structure in my content creation. Number five, I was giving pieces of the success puzzle from my perspective, of course, without showing the full picture. And this is a problem because my daily source of inspiration were very well received. I had amazing testimonials, as I will share a bit later on. But the thing is, nobody knew the whole picture. And why is this a problem? Because advice is useful, but you earn people's trust and you give them like truly and the next level of their life or business with a solid success framework. And the reason frameworks work is that they put in a frame what needs to be done. And I was dabbling, as I said before, so much that I conveyed this attitude to my community. So the daily thoughts of inspiration were a great start, but thankfully, I realized really fast that I had to create a series of webinars. And it wasn't like, yes, it was 5 months later that I started my daily thoughts of inspiration that I launched my first product. So May 2015 was already like a coaching subscription that was going on with monthly life and business coaching webinars that goes up until this day. And this is how I started putting the success framework on rails. Number 6, I did it all by myself. I was a jack of all trades. And why is this a problem? Because you do not become a master at anything. You become a generalist at many things. And if you want to go fast, if you want to go anywhere fast, go on your own. But if you want to go far, you want to choose, let me say, not just any team, but the right team. The best fitting team to what you want to achieve. Always remember, as Jim Rohn used to say, I was micromanaging for the biggest part of my career. And it wasn't that I didn't want to have help or anything. I thought that if I could do it, it's okay for me to do it. I wasn't thinking back then of how ineffective and inefficient this is. Because why is it ineffective? Because I was not the best at it. And why is it inefficient? Because I could have invested my time at a much more valuable and important task. Number 7, I didn't have a soulmate back then or the ideal client. So if you watched other webinars of mine, always remember that the soulmate is your ideal client, the very one out of 8 billion that would be like a dream connection between you and them. And why is this important? Because now you have something to focus on. And your ideal clients, they hold the map of your success, because we say the client is always right or the customer is always right. No, the ideal customer is always right, simply because the ideal customer is the one that will extremely well receive what you have to offer. This is by definition your ideal customer, the one who would be thrilled to have your product or service, the one who will go through your course and apply the knowledge and get the results and provide you with an amazing video testimonial and become your brand ambassador. Number 8, I wasn't taking advantage of the amazing testimonials that I received. So as I was sending my daily thoughts of inspiration every single day, of course, in the beginning, it was like crickets, right? It was just a handful of people. And then in a couple of months' time, I started to gain traction and I started receiving some amazing testimonials, like, Angelo, this is amazing. Angelo, you helped me start fresh my day with inspiration, with a smile. You helped, Angelo, after a couple of decades, you finally helped me to quit smoking with your advice and everything. And all that I was having in a digital drawer, let's say, and nobody knew about these testimonials. So always remember that you will not find a better sales force than your happy, your satisfied customers. This is why you want to, number 1, of course, be collecting testimonials, and number 2, share them with the world. If I am saying, if I say right now, I am the best coach, at happiness or whatever, right? I feel that I'm extremely good at helping you reach a certain level of happiness without actually succeeding anything yet, right? Because I know by example from my own experience that happiness could be the fuel towards success and not the end result of it. So I know it, but it is much better if you hear it from someone else. If someone else tells you, you know what, Angelo is the best at it, now you're golden. So this is what you want to have with your own content creation and your own digital product. Number 9, I didn't have a steady flow of offers. So I was creating content. I was having, like very satisfied client base or potential client base. And we moved with many of these people from my list to what we call the friend zone. And now, basically, they are reluctant to take any of my offers. When I had, like a flash of genius to share one with my audience. So what you want to remind yourself, and then of course, this is a very good example. I was so locked, my mind was so locked into not having offers until some time and giving value all the time, that at some point, I signed up at the newsletter of Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer. They had a company back then, and it was the Glazer Kennedy Inner Circle. And I signed up. And I was fascinated because each and every email that I had, that I was receiving, had value on top, free content on top, and an offer at the bottom. Every single email. And I thought, you know what? I'm doing something wrong here. I have to wake up. How on earth am I going to finance this mission that I'm at to help people be happy now and go about achieving anything they want to achieve, rather than waiting for happiness to come sometime in the future, if at all? So I was so passionate at delivering my value, but I couldn't finance it to grow as much as I could and would if the circumstances were different, if I was making steady offers, if I was improving myself in my sales speeds. Because always remember, it's not whether you have a good product or not. It's about getting through barriers. We will focus on that on another webinar, and we will go deep on what it means to earn people's attention, not steal their attention, but earn their attention. And then to earn their trust, and then to have them commit to a call to action. Because this is what it takes nowadays. Back when I was getting started, there were like a handful of offers all around the internet. The open rate at emails was like 98%. It was crazy. Now you will be lucky to have 9.8% open rate if your content is good. This is how things have changed. This is why I keep repeating, yes, the game has changed. And nothing should be taken for granted in sales. Period. End of story. Nothing should be taken for granted. And in fact, even when you make your offer, and even when someone registers and signs up and takes on this offer and enrolls in your program, right? Or in your mastermind or whatever, it's not the end. This is where sales begin. Not only because you will be having, like upsells or anything, but also you want to make sure that you sell them so much value that they truly become your ambassadors rather than becoming your dissatisfied customers. Number 10, I didn't have regular reviews. So always remember that you can only improve what you measure. So it took me like years to have a simple, like you don't have to, you don't have, when I was getting started at Unilever, like 20 years ago, I had a very complex chart of KPIs to follow up to make sure that we're on the right track. It was a huge organization, and we had to communicate with each other, interdepartmental meetings and so on. If you're a solopreneur, or if you have like a small business with just a handful of people in your team, you don't have to have all that, but you do need to have some KPIs, some key performance indicators so that you know you're on the right track. And even if the numbers hurt, you want to hear them. So, how many leads did we have this week? How many new leads? 0. It's okay. As long as you know it and as long as you're doing something about it. Keep having these reviews. Always remember, when someone, okay, so you might be having, like a blood test every year, right? But if your health or someone else's health, all right, is in a critical condition, you have regular tests. And sometimes you're even connected to a machine that gives you, like your vitals, because you want to have like a review at a second, at a fraction of a second. How is it going? The same goes with your business. When you're getting started, make these reviews more frequent. Ask yourself, like every week, what happened this week? Which mistakes did I make? Or which are my micro wins that I want to celebrate with my team, so that I keep piling up what is going right and I keep taking out what does not work. Next, of course, because my name is Angelo Labro, and of course, I cannot leave you with just 10 mistakes. I want to give you a bonus 11th mistake. And of course, for me, this is the most important one. You all know, those of you who follow me, how important is the happy landing exercise. In fact, I dare to say that the happy landing exercise is the most valuable, the most effective action that you can take at any day. And if you're new to this community, let me remind you that the happy landing exercise is when you close your eyes and see, and most importantly, feel yourself at your destination. You don't think of your destination, you think and feel yourself at your destination. And what that means is that you start actually training your mind to that level of success. So, the first mistake that I mentioned was I had no idea I was a creator, but it got even worse. Because since this was the case, I couldn't see myself as a super creator. Seeing myself, having a truly amazing, vibrant audience at the size that facilitates my dreams coming true in terms of the value that I want to produce and the income I want to have. So I was struggling with all the actions that I was taking every single day, but I didn't have that vision to pull me forward. That said, success will be as big as the image you can hold in your mind. And why I'm saying hold? Because many of us dream big, like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I had like $10 million? But can you hold that thought? Can you hold it in your mind enough so that you believe it and it actually guides the rest of your thoughts in the right direction? Because this is what the happy landing exercise intends, for you to resonate fully with your super self, as we call it, with the person that you want to become. So, to wrap up, number one, I didn't know I was a creator, a content or digital product creator. Number two, I was dabbling. Number three, I had employee mindset stifling my growth. Number four, I didn't have a plan. Number five, I was giving pieces of the puzzle without giving the full picture. Number six, I did it all by myself. Number seven, I didn't have a soulmate. I didn't have an ideal customer to focus all my marketing on. Number eight, I wasn't taking advantage of the amazing testimonials that I had early on. Number nine, I didn't have a steady flow of offers. Number 10, I didn't have regular reviews to make sure that I keep improving and keep going in the right direction. And number 11, I wasn't seeing myself as a super creator. But, then this is a big one, I did something super right. So on the flip side, I did all these mistakes, but I did something super right. And that was that I had frequent updates. I was getting better and better and better without realizing it. I was all in at the point where I was receiving like the right information. So from the very beginning, I was, going to seminars and reading the right books and everything. And eventually, as you may know by now, I was invited last year to the mastermind interview, and this is not something that you can pay your way into these masterminds. This is something that you earn. And why am I telling you this? Because nothing can stand in the way of consistent growth and evolution. Always remember that the reason you're struggling is because your mindset, your skill set, and your tool set have not yet caught up to what it takes. So I was struggling when I was getting started, but I started feeling this compounding effect, and I started truly putting myself more and more in a steadfast course towards where I truly wanted to go. Because this is the case when you commit to something. And that said, when I was at the offices of mastermind.com last year, basically almost this time of the year, last year, so almost a year ago, and when I was speaking at some point, and I had all these amazing marketers and entrepreneurs listening to me, and their eyes, like looking at my eyes and taking on what I was sharing with them as like my game changers, let's say, it struck me because I thought, oh, this is what happens when you truly do not care about how you get started, and all that you care is how you keep going, and most importantly, how you keep growing. Because none of us begins with a perfect skill set and tool set, because you don't know what will happen. We didn't know that COVID will come, the lockdowns will come. We had to become resourceful. And the more committed you are to your vision, the easier it is for you to shift your attitude towards resourcefulness rather than complaining about your circumstances, right? So, once again, I want to ring the alarm bell and remind you that the game has changed dramatically, and you definitely don't want a failure to be the reason that you realize that. You want to be on top of that game. You want, as Robin Sharma says, you want to rub your shoulders with people that are more successful than you are, with people who are ready to give you answers on the most burning questions that you have about the future of your life and your business. Now that AI is changing everything, now that people are trying to find back their actual state of happiness and success after all these like complete shocks in the world economy. And this is why I want to invite you and to actually ask you to be fully present and play 100% at the Game Has Changed event hosted by Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi on June 13th to 15th. It's a 3-day event. It's going to be about 3 hours every single day, and you're going to not only upgrade your mindset from one of the best, if not the best in the world, Tony Robbins, but you will also get the updated success blueprint for someone who is struggling to get their business in order in 2024. And if you want to grow your business and you don't see a way around it, this is also for you. Because you know what? AI is changing everything. And I think it was Stephen Hawking, the amazing physicist, who said, basically, there are two outcomes with AI. You either do it, you either apply it and win, or you don't and you lose. So you want to be on top of this game. You want to make sure that you understand how you can capitalize what is already available in terms of AI. We're not going to have like a philosophical discussion about it. We are going to see how we can apply it to grow our business. All right? Great. So that said, you can go to angelolabru.com/GHC 2024. And of course, I'm not going to have you type all that. I just dropped the link on the chat, or if you're watching it in the landing page, you can click the button that you will find under this video. If you're watching it on any other platform, you can find I'm sure you will find the link on the description or in one of my comments. For sure, you want to be there. For sure, you don't just want to sign up. Do you know that people's attention is so scarce these days that like 20 or 30% of the people who actually sign up attend at such events? You want to be there. You want to be fully present, and you want to truly play 100%. And that said, not only you will get amazing content from the best, but also, should you sign up today, I have some amazing bonuses for you, because by claiming your free ticket right now, by going to this link that I mentioned, you will also get access to all the daily priming and review masterclasses that I will be having. So personalized content every day. 1 hour before, we will be meeting so that I can prime you mentally and emotionally for the day. And as of day 2 and on, we will also be having a brief review of the previous day so that you can let the best information sink in and start training your subconscious mind with what truly matters to be kept as insight. Next, you will have an invitation to my Ask Me Anything recap. So after the event, I'm sure you will be having many questions, and I will have a form and a way for you to ask questions live at the bigger Q&A session that we will be having. And this will be for you, your opportunity to have like more personalized answers in terms of what was discussed during these 3 days of the event, so that you are sure you're on the right track. You do have the right mindset, skill set, and tool set to actually go about achieving your business goals this year. Sometime in the past, I thought I was on the right track, and I wasn't, simply because I thought it was a sense of having a positive mindset, let's say, to say, oh, one day I will be successful. And that day will never come, simply because you don't have it on the map. You want to say to yourself, you know what? This is my year. This is my year. This is my year, and I will do whatever it takes to make the changes that need to be made so that I can get my business to where I want it. And there is another bonus that I cannot yet mention. I'm sure you will love it. Okay? Hold on to it. It will come in a couple of days' time, let's say. So it's going to be, I'm very excited about it. I think if you follow me for a long time, you know that this is definitely on the right track. I cannot mention it yet, though. So anyway, in any case, this is not about these bonuses. This is not about the event. I want to be frank with you. This is the 6th year I have been supporting Tony's and Dean's mission from the very beginning. So a last thought for you, because this is very important. This is how I found out about Tony and Dean's first project. It was called KBB, Knowledge Business Blueprint, Knowledge Business Blueprint. It was 6 years ago. And I found out a day before. And I said, you know what? This sounds exciting. I will actually go through this launch. I will promote this launch. I will communicate this launch to my community. I feel there's some traction there. And it was an amazing success. Amazing success. And it was Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, and Russell Brunson. And they were sitting in a desk. And it was like 2 to 3 hours. It was just one day, of course, back then. And they were sitting in a desk and they gave amazing content, extremely inspirational, like very focused, strategic skill set also for 2.5, 3 hours. And it was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, launches in internet marketing history. I'm talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars. It was a fantastic launch. But you know what? It was dwarfed by what happened later on. Because then COVID happened. And Tony Robbins, the guy who has been doing this and he is unstoppable for decades, realized that he cannot do his events because of the lockdowns. So one of the events that was coming up was the World Summit that was around Knowledge Business Blueprint. And this would have been a live event back in, I think it was September or October of 2020, I think, if I'm right. So what happened, of course, was that it wasn't canceled, but it had to go virtual. So knowing this, I was expecting to see Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi again sitting on a desk and giving their value, right? Because this is all I knew. And I see the first ever multi-million-dollar studio that Tony Robbins has created so that he can have like a virtual experience as close to the physical one. So I had my notebook on. I had it open and I was ready to, keep notes. And all I wrote at the very beginning, I see Dean Graziosi coming out of the gate and into the studio. It was amazing. At the back, of course, something that you most probably have seen many times since then, an amazing retina display with like hundreds of people cheering Dean Graziosi on for the World Summit getting started. And I just wrote with huge block letters at my notepad, all right, like this is it. Like you blew my mind. Like you truly showed me what this is about. And this is what I want for you. Not this studio, but I truly want you to have your big picture. Not a fragment, not a fraction, but your super life, your super business. For you to become your super self, bodily, mentally, and emotionally, and then to put your super life and your super business on rail. And if I see you, if we cross paths on the road, right? I want to ask you, how are things? And I want you to tell me, you know what, Angelo, I am happy and unstoppable towards my vision. This is all I want for you. This is why I am putting, this cherry on top, this extra sauce at what Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi are preparing. I know we're going through tough times. I am living in Greece, and there are 2 wars happening at almost at less than 1,000-mile radius. 2 wars, not one. Okay? So we have no idea how things will develop. We have no idea how far this thing with inflation is going. We have no idea how the aftershocks of COVID to the economy will go. We have absolutely no idea how the AI game will develop. But you know what? I don't care. As long as I am doing the very best I can to grow as Angelo and to get closer to Super Angelo, because this is something that is my responsibility. It's not your responsibility. And all I can do is invite you to this amazing event. It is your responsibility to sign up. It is absolutely your responsibility to be there for all 3 days, to be present. If you have questions, to send me these questions so that I can create an amazing Q&A session for you. And if you have even more questions, to ask them again. And this is how you grow. And this is how you get closer to your super self. And when you do, then creating your super life and your super business becomes almost automatic. This is all it takes for you to say, you know what? I will be there. This is my time. I'm doing this. I'm not doubling this time. I'm going all in. I'm going to be fully present, fully committed. I'm going to take notes, but most importantly, I will show up as my super self. I will have my vision pull me forward. I will be watching from Greece, and I always say to my partners at Mastermind, for me, it's always a struggle. We have 8 hours difference with Scottsdale, Arizona. So when it is noon Pacific here, of course, if you're in Europe as well, you know how challenging this could be. But I never, ever lost an event like this because of the time difference. The struggle, let's say, if we can call it that, is too little for the benefit that you have. So say it with me right now. I cannot hear you, but I can surely feel you. Say it with me. I am there. I am all in. This is my time. I am doing this. I am turning my vision into a reality. I believe in myself. I believe in my potential, and I want everyone to see. And with that, I want to leave you, and I hope I will be seeing you at the VIP though, because we will be having our own room to chat and connect even more at the event. And of course, I will be giving you a lot of support during these days. And as always, I want to leave you with one thing. I want you to remember that you deserve everything you want, and we all deserve your best self. We will be seeing each other a lot these days. Until next time, ciao, ciao.